Everyone, welcome back. I had some time before the PTS Phase 1 ended on, I believe it was Tuesday or Monday, I can't remember which day it was. I had some time to play some Countdown on the new normal mode or the solo mode and see what that's all about. The footage in this video will be from my run through with a build made from whatever I had on my character. It's full piece, Hunter's Fury, I think it's the Matador backpack and the new holster that gives you plus 20% damage. It's a very powerful holster and it will become meta if it goes live in its current form. Now I'm also running the Lady Death exotic SMG for that kind of run and gun style along with a shotgun. The idea was, because I had seen comments before I played it, that you had to basically run through Countdown on solo in order to get to the extraction. I would make kind of like a run and gun build to do that. So anyway, let's go over my run, what was different compared to the challenger mode, what I liked, what I didn't like, and whether or not this will become my go-to difficulty if it goes live as is. Drop a like and subscribe to stay up to date with all my videos, and let's begin. So first off, and one thing that I noticed immediately with the normal difficulty or the solo mode was when running to the first hunter, the countermeasured had already been subverted. So immediately then I was getting, increased skill haste, NPCs were getting reduced hazard protection, all of the other countermeasures and all the other things that would normally come from that. And aside from getting the hunter's keys that you would get from taking down those hunters, I don't actually see a reason for you to go and fight them at all. And instead, you should probably immediately head for the first objective of your choice. It doesn't make any sense at all really to me, and I'll come back to why I think Massive have done this. Moving on, and if you have a VIP encounter, I would try your best to avoid it. Whilst it's not difficult most of the time to keep the VIP alive, it's just a frustrating encounter for me, made more frustrating in normal mode as all eyes are on you and the VIP rather than 6 other players. When you have those other players, they can become a distraction, but here there isn't that. The VIP just runs away from you straight into the NPCs. The good thing is the NPCs go down very quickly with a high DPS build like I have in this footage. Otherwise this would actually not be an easy encounter. If you're not taking down those NPCs quickly, the VIP is so stupid and has such low health that the VIP can actually go down very quickly. So I can imagine not having that high DPS build, this could become a problem encounter. Moving on then, and probably the biggest issue with normal mode on solo is actually the amount of time you are given. So in the run that I did, I went pretty quickly with a setup that gives me more damage the more I move. And it took me about 13 minutes to complete before I was to head over to the extraction zone. Now that 2-minute window that I had left isn't that much really at all. And sure, I could have went quicker if I really got it nailed down. If you're running a build that takes advantage from being in cover, or is maybe not a run and gun build, it might actually be really difficult to actually do the objectives within the 15-minute window. And normally, this is not because you're not killing enemies quick enough, or you're not holding down an area soon enough, you're not clicking on this button here fast enough. It's more because, depending on what objectives you have, it's the time it takes for those objectives to be completed that are outside of your control. For example, how quickly it takes for a terminal to complete, how quickly this bar goes from 0 to 100, or how far an NPC decides to run away from you. Now I didn't play through normal mode with, say, a Heartbreaker build with more armor and less damage, or a skill build for example, but the 2-minute window that I had for this run and gun build is very short, and I can imagine running through either of those would be maybe a lot more difficult. And talking of skill builds, I cannot envisage a scenario in which you could complete these objectives with a pure skill build. I'm sure someone will do it, but for the average player, it's pointless. You are going to want to run a high damage build that you're on the move for. So 15 minutes isn't really that obtainable if you're not running an all damage run and gun build. And this goes back to why I think the countermeasures are already subverted. There's just no way you could go and do all 3 hunters, grab their loot, subvert all the countermeasures, and then do the objectives within 15 minutes. It's just not gonna happen. I'm sure someone will do it. So I'm not saying that for everyone, but generally speaking, 99% of people That's just not going to happen. You're not going to be able to do it. So I think that's why Massive already subverts the countermeasures immediately. Once you've done all the objectives, you head to the extraction. And for me, this is where it really fell apart. Running my build, I had a ton of damage and no armor. And I've explained why I've done it that way, right? Now, I probably should have changed my build a little bit heading to the extraction. But seeing as I don't do that when I matchmake in the live game on the challenging difficulty, and I was comparing it to that, I stayed with the build that I had. Now against hunters, I did a ton of damage quickly. I had to be up close though in order to do that, but I basically couldn't get close to them without getting melted instantly. Couple that with the high NPC density as well, and it was just too much. And on this run, I was actually downed. Now fortunately, you can respawn, which is great, but seeing as it takes at least a minute to get to the extraction zone, and you only have, what, 4 minutes? If you respawn, you basically don't have enough time to really get back there and make a dent on those NPCs and those hunters in order to get that flare off. So, with all of that in mind, why would anyone bother doing normal difficulty as a solo player compared to just doing challenging difficulty on matchmaking? Unless you don't own Xbox Gold or PS Plus, I see no reason why you wouldn't just stick with challenging and matchmake. It's very rare that you have to worry about the time in challenging because objectives are very quick with 8 players. You're almost guaranteed the maximum amount of hunter tags on each run, unlike the normal difficulty where you don't have enough time. So actually even the normal difficulty just isn't that lucrative. Within reason, you can pretty much run whatever build that you like in challenging, as the other 7 players will compensate for that. You almost always have enough time to grab the chest at the end of the objectives and pick up any stray loot lying around, something I was unable to do on my run. In that 13-minute run, I never really picked up any loot. I kind of just run past it. I certainly didn't go to any chests because I didn't have enough time. I just kind of did the objective, moved on to the next objective. In about 100 runs on challenging, 98 of those will see a successful extraction. Probably 99 of those actually, maybe. 95 of those allowing you to run the clock down fully to get as much loot and experience as you possibly can. This doesn't seem feasible on the normal difficulty without some considerable challenge. So why bother? I see no incentive for me to play this solo difficulty at all. It's not so much it's a challenge as it is I just don't have enough time to do the stuff that I want. Plus it's not lucrative for me. I'm not getting the same amount of loot that I would get on challenging. Nowhere near the same amount of loot. I'm not getting as many hunter dog tags. The amount of time it takes me to complete it is the same time, and the chances of me completing it are far less than doing it on challenging. Now, I know there's going to be some crazy players out there who are going to breeze through this normal difficulty, but they still cannot deny that it's way easier on challenging with 7 other players. All in all, I'm sticking with challenging and matchmaking unless something changes with this mode. If you disagree and think this normal mode is a better option, then please leave your comments down below, because I would be interested in what other people have to say. I think I've made a compelling argument as to why there would be no reason to play it. I don't really see any reason to play it, but still, you know, maybe I haven't thought about something. I don't really have any solutions to how they go about fixing this. If this mode was like 5 minutes, a 5-minute run, you had one objective and then you had the extraction, then maybe that would be better, because at least then you could do that run 3 times in the same amount of time you could probably do it on challenging. So it might be as lucrative, or maybe even a little bit more lucrative, to do that solo run, possibly. But I really don't have any solutions, and I really think that Massive have just done this because, but with really no understanding as to what the implications of it being there are. I'd probably just pull it if it were me. I would stick with the 3 difficulties. We've got the challenging one, which is the live game one. We've got the one that's, I can't remember the name of the difficulties now. We've got the heroic one for the hardcore players. Fine. I thought we were only going to get the heroic one, to be honest. And then we got the difficulty below challenging. I think it's hard mode, which is basically like an easier version of challenging for match made 8 players, 4 to 8 players, whatever it is. I would stick with those 3 difficulties. I see no reason to have this solo difficulty at the moment. Anyway, that's it for today's video. I want to thank you all for watching, and until the next one, epic out.